Hello, Ferasticos. So the people that speak English, Ferasticos means that you are awesome person or motivated person. And now our guest is painting, leaving his mark in a board. So he's speaking one color and he will leave his mark. And at the end, I hope that we will have a great paint. So I will show you now. Hayden will be doing his mark. Hayden, what color you pick it?
I'm going to choose green.
Green, okay.
I don't know why, I'm just feeling it in my heart.
Feeling green.
There we go. Not too much.
So you can do whatever you want.
I'll just leave some sort of heart there.
Okay.
Spreading some love.
It's a good one. Okay.
Looks more like a green apple, but
Green.
it's all right.
Now we will know you better. So let's start. Hello, awesome people. We are here again at the Naked Mind channel. And here we are going to the naked or the mind of our guest Hayden. So he will be, our slogan is expanding by sharing. So he will be expanding today because he will be sharing his experiences, all the things that he needs to talk about it. So
Yeah, thanks for having me, Maxie.
yeah. So can you introduce yourself? Your where are you from? Your age? What are you studying or working?
Yeah, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona originally, and I'm here at Andrews studying computer science and working at the IT department and helping students and staff out with their technology problems mostly this summer. That's been fun, and I'm 22 years old now.
22 years, okay. And I don't know very well Arizona, so I don't know, and people that don't know Arizona, do you have 3 words, or not literally, but something that you can say about Arizona, how it's there?
I'd say a good word is expansive.
Oh.
So there's not a lot of trees, it's very deserty, but the sunsets pretty much most of the year are just spectacular, especially when there's lots of clouds.
So in Arizona,
Yeah, it's like anywhere you go in the state, you basically get a good sunset all the time. So
all the time.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Now I want to go there. I am willing to go there.
Yeah.
And well, I always ask the guests if they have one phrase or quote that they like the most. So what is your phrase?
Yeah, I always try to live this. It goes something like, don't wait for your healing to feel gratitude. Don't wait for a special someone to feel love. Don't wait for something great to happen in your life in order to start feeling joy now. So that mostly applies, especially when you feel like you're stuck somewhere, whether you're in a bad situation, in a relationship or health-wise or anything. We live in a society where we think we have to reach some goal to start feeling a certain way, or to finally reach some goal, and then we'll start feeling good, and then our life will be good, and then.
Just in the future, not in the present.
Yeah, and there's a very specific way I do that in my life, but there's lots of ways to try to reach that goal. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And what is your specific way to do?
Yeah, so I meditate a lot. Well, I guess some background is around 9 months ago now, I became very ill, and I could hardly get out of bed for about 6 months there, and the doctors couldn't really tell what was wrong. They weren't really helping me out, which was very frustrating, and it was a horrible situation. I was so ill, and I learned more about what was happening. We could go into that, I guess, later, but
okay.
Essentially, the pathway to healing was to take my own responsibility rather than someone else. Because normally when we're sick, we go to a doctor and they help us, right? But there's
medication.
Right. There's lots of people who they go to the doctor and they don't get help. No offense to, I don't want to put any disrespect on doctors, or there's tons of great doctors out there. But there's a lot of illnesses that are super overlooked and we don't really understand them well. But the mechanisms behind them has to do with our nervous system and really taking care of that. So one of the tools is meditation, but it's a very specific kind of meditation that's from Dr. Joe Dispenza, and you might look him up online.
Oh, yeah.
If you're really struggling with something and you're really stuck, then I would definitely recommend checking him out. But
This help you a lot.
I try to do it every day, and I notice that on the days I don't practice that meditation, I don't feel as good. It's interesting. But whatever spiritual practice, even if you don't believe in God, I say that there's always tools we can have to support our brains and our nervous system.
Yeah,
but we
health.
don't get taught that in school necessarily.
No.
So anyway, that kind of
We need
goes
to
into
go for ourselves. And
Yes.
Yeah. So about your illness, was a physical one, both like psychological, or can you describe more?
Yeah.
How was this ill?
Yeah, it was
How did you feel?
So as you as someone who's in psychology, it was as if every system of my body, including my brain and my cognition and my thoughts and everything, was in complete distress and alarm mode. Because I went to Honduras as a student missionary.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And that was great, but I got really sick, and I let it get bad enough so that I almost died before I, went to the hospital. And when you're in a foreign country and you're kind of all alone, you're suffering, and you basically feel like you're dying or you could die. That's obviously not a situation anyone wants to be in. But I got through it, but it was definitely, I would say, traumatic. So I guess the best way I could describe what happened to me after I got sick in Honduras and why I basically got sick and didn't get better for like
6 months.
6 months there, a form of PTSD in a way.
Okay.
But there wasn't one body system that wasn't affected.
Was all
Yeah, so like for instance, I couldn't walk more than about half a mile, then I would just collapse. I could go on about all the symptoms I had, but
was
lots
like
of
dysfunctional.
yeah, complete dysfunction, because my brain and my nervous system, essentially what I've learned since then is that it lost trust in the universe and God and everything, and went into protection mode. And so obviously, hey, you want to go for a walk? No, we're going to stay in bed. We got to protect you. Because remember what happened in Honduras, or remember what happened, especially people who have lots of childhood trauma, this happens to a lot. They are the ACE, adverse childhood experiences. You probably heard of that?
Yeah. How is it in English?
Adverse childhood experiences, I believe.
Yeah, I think I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I think it's a 9-question just survey that you take.
Oh yeah. ACE.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And
Now
if you score 4 or higher, then your chances of developing some sort of chronic health condition later on, it just skyrockets. I don't know the exact figures, but me, I didn't have any childhood trauma, but I know that does play a role. And it was interesting to see, like, what I thought it was maybe there's there's pathogens still in my body from Honduras. Maybe I need to kill them off, or maybe there's some weird virus that I got that like no one knows or no one's discovered about. But that just wasn't the right way to go, because it adds to the fear, it adds to the dysfunction that was happening. It's more common than people realize, because the medical field doesn't really have a good way. Like there's no diagnosis. There's no test that the doctors could do. Like they tested me up and down for sure. Blood tests, CT scans, all sorts of things, and they're like, yeah, you're absolutely healthy, you're fine. And I was on the floor, couldn't get up, feeling horrible, and they couldn't help me because they couldn't find anything wrong with me. So fair enough, but
But this like your hope was gone.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's definitely what happened.
Got worse because you didn't have hope. But in Honduras, do you think that someone would be like helping you? Did you felt support from someone?
I
or
did.
Just
yeah,
alone?
of course. And I think a lot of it was me trying to be a man and just, oh yeah, I'm not sick. And it was weird because I got sick one day, and the next day I felt okay. I felt fine, and I started, running up waterfalls and playing with the kids again. And then the next day after that, I got bad again. It was a very strange. Of course, a lot of people got the same illness as I did, and they recovered and they were fine. So I was like, why am I the only one who got so sick that I had to go home, and then I had to stay home for 6 months, basically laying in bed, just completely ill with just this horrible nervous system issue. I'm like, why me? You asked, like, why did that happen to me? But I definitely did have support while I was there. But I mean, we'll put it this way: when you're in the middle of the night and you're drinking water and it's just coming out the other end instantly, and you keep drinking water and it just keeps coming out, and you don't sleep because it's just going straight through. And that happens for 1 day. That's okay. 2 days, okay. 3 days, then you start losing consciousness. And then I had to go to the hospital. But I did recover after that point even, and when I got home, I felt okay. And then 2 weeks after, something just hit where I realized what just happened, that whether or not I almost died doesn't really matter because I'm here and I'm fine now. But I guess my brain, some system in the limbic part of my brain, in the brainstem, said, oh shoot, remember all that stuff that happened in Honduras? That was really horrible. Yeah, that was really horrible. And then my brain completely blocked out all the memories from Honduras for like 6 months. I couldn't remember anything about it.
Really?
Other than that I was really sick. Yeah, and then I had to come home.
It's very different.
Yeah, and so you, being in psychology, there's probably words for these sorts of things, right?
Yeah, like temporary amnesia?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. That you got traumatized there, so your body was like, oh, I don't want to remember anything from there, so I will shut off this part. Shut down or shut off, I don't know, how can I say it? But yeah, this sounds like a PTSD. Yeah. So
it's some form of it. And
yeah.
I did go
not like
see a therapist. I did.
Oh, you did.
And
what they said?
They said, obviously, they just sort of, they were helpful. It wasn't the right time to start just talking about it because my nervous system was like, talk therapy has its place, does help people. But and the people who are in this state, they'll know what I'm talking about. This is very hard to describe. Even before, if you had told me 2 years ago, hey, all this stuff's going to happen to you, and you're going to deal with all this, I'd be like, what even is that? Are you're making that up? Because I guess one diagnosis you could call it is chronic fatigue syndrome. I had something called POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. All these, yeah, and a lot of more women struggle with that a bit more, I think. There's a whole list of things that I could have been diagnosed with, but I was just
a lot of symptoms that could be that one or the other one.
But just every, not symptoms from every, like I thought I had MS because my arms went numb. Like I woke up at night and I couldn't move my arms. I guess that's sleep paralysis or something. I guess that happens to some people. But then during the day, my arm would go numb, or my feet, I had pins and needles in my hands, and all these neurological symptoms, and just, I couldn't walk very well either. Like just neurologically, it just didn't, it almost felt like I had a stroke, but no, I didn't. Like a blood clot in my brain. You were
at the
I went to the emergency room 7 times.
7 times?
Yeah, because it got to that point where my brain fired all the alarm bells and had all these symptoms where
at the same time
where I was like, my heart rate was like 150 and I was just sleeping at night, and I woke up and it was just 150. This is very common with people when they go through this initially, is they'll have insomnia and then trouble sleeping, and then they'll wake up with like a racing heart for no reason, and then they'll think, oh, like I'm having a heart attack, tons of chest pain, so they'll go to the emergency room. Yeah,
those symptoms that you can relate with anxiety too.
Yeah,
or
anxiety.
Panic attack.
And of course it's a panic attack and anxiety. Like it's every ill symptom. And in one of the recovery programs I'm still in, They do it, they tell you don't go into details about symptoms.
Oh, okay.
But
so, yeah,
it's all right.
No, but I know, no, but it's true. I know some things that you don't need to tell because can start again.
Yeah.
So,
but no, I'm all right. I mean, anyway, that's
no,
kind of
but it's better. No,
Yeah.
it's better. I know. Even if you are all right, it's good to keep
Yeah.
like this.
So, in summary, I was really sick, and I didn't have any reason to think I was going to get better anytime soon, because normally when you get sick, you get a cold, like you're sneezing and you're coughing. You feel gross, you're tired. You go to sleep, and then you wake up and I feel good today. I kept going to bed with that hope of like, I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll feel better, because that's how it is. Your body heals, If I'm sick, I'll get better. And it didn't, and it got worse, and it got worse. And I'm like, what do I need to do? But I do believe God led me to the right direction to tell me, hey, here's how you can support your nervous system so your body can heal on its own. Your body can heal. It will heal. Your limbic system, your brain stem, is kind of getting in the way. So we can rewire those neurons. Not with surgery or anything, but it's a concept of neuroplasticity. It's, used with people recovering from strokes who maybe lost function in their arms or something. You can regrow those neurons and regain function to a certain extent. So I found a program that definitely does that. There's a whole bunch here, but I hate to go off on a tangent.
And feeling sick, and did you, because you were like hoping that every day you would be starting again very good and cured.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen in 6 months.
Yeah, it didn't happen. It didn't happen at all, because I didn't know what was going on for about 3 straight months.
So do you think that this would lead you to depression too?
Yeah, I was super depressed, of course. And of course, one of the doctors, they're like, oh, all of these symptoms are caused by depression, so I'm going to give you an antidepressant. I'm like, well, I'm depressed because my life's gone. Like, I can't work, I can't go to school. My life is over.
Was due the illness.
Yeah, but I won't say that medicine didn't help at all. There's a place for that. But that was definitely not
the main
answer.
thing.
No, that's not the root of the problem, for sure.
Okay. If someone give you now the opportunity to go back to Honduras, do you think that you want to say, you will say yes or no?
Yeah, for sure. And
you will got more prepared
for
that.
Yeah, and if possible, I'll be able to maybe teach those children some of the tools I've learned that are really good for people with trauma. And down there in Honduras, that's a big thing there. And there's not a ton of practical tools. They have the skills to read the Bible and pray, and that's all fantastic. But there's certain nervous system support tools that most people aren't aware of. That if you go looking, you can find, if you really go look. And thankfully, I didn't necessarily have to do that, because I found a program where all of those tools were in one. And you can sort of pick and choose which ones work for you. And that program is called Primal Trust by someone named Dr. Kathleen King. Yeah, that's if you have a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, POTS, Lyme disease, like anything related to that even, then going through that program, as hard as it is to believe sometimes, and I definitely was skeptical at first, it can help you lay the foundation to help your body heal from anything, I believe. Along with meditation, and if you practice that every day or as much as you can, you get better and better at it. And the healing sort of compounds, and you get better and better. You feel better. You definitely got to be desperate, though, like really desperate. Yeah.
To not be skeptical.
Yeah. And to not pay for this program, right?
Oh.
Because they can get expensive, some of these healing programs. I could name them all off the top of my head, but I won't. Yeah, they can get expensive, but what's more expensive was all those doctor's visits, of course, and going to the emergency room, and they can't. That wasn't the place to go for what I was dealing with. Although what feels like an emergency, it doesn't always mean you're dying.
I see. And always what your dream to go to mission, or was like a recent dream?
Yeah, I guess it was more sort of just when I came to Andrews. They really push it hard here at Andrews, with chapel talks and all that stuff. And I knew the risks about going, and I was at a point in my life where I wanted to do it, and I was like, it's now or never. So I went, and I don't regret it. And even though you could make a good argument that it was kind of a complete failure for me, you could genuinely argue that, but
I don't know, because you got experiences from there. Even not finish it all I don't know how many years you needed to stay there, but I think 1 year.
Yeah, I was supposed to be there for a year. Yeah.
But you did your work there.
I did. I worked pretty hard, I think. And it was fun, and I got to hang out with the kids and be dad and be tutor and be soccer dad. It was, yeah.
About being a dad. Now you going there and being a dad, or all the things together for them. Do you think that you want to be? Do you want to have a family in the future, or was so hard to take care of children that you thought, no, I don't want to have children?
That's a great question. Yeah, it definitely solidified it for me. I definitely want kids.
Oh, okay.
I definitely want that. But it was definitely a wake-up call to how much work that is, and how they're your hobby, they're your life, those kids, right?
Yeah.
And I'm still building my nervous system up to be able to, be ready for that. A few years, whenever,
Yeah.
And I'm still on the recovery road, and since there's no diagnosis, or there's nothing wrong. There was never anything wrong with me. I got pretty sick with a virus in Honduras. It was pretty bad, and my body lost trust with the universe, and every day I build that back up. So I'm never gonna stop doing that, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a lifestyle.
Yeah. And it's like, I can almost do anything I want. I can walk longer distances. I can work out a bit. It's still, if I overdo it, I can overdo it too.
Okay.
So I'm not quite there.
In your maximum, but you are doing.
Yeah, I'm not quite back where I was before, but I expect to even surpass that, because I know way more. I have more tools, basically.
Yeah, now that you know how it's being ill.
Yeah, I know.
You can surpass that and be better than before.
Yeah, because I definitely do. I've been given a second chance at life. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And many people have near-death experiences, or our soldiers defending our country go through horrible, way worse things than I ever went through, and they come back and
again.
Yeah, you have to figure that all out, and you shouldn't do it alone. So I've been trying to not do this journey alone as well, as much as I can.
And about almost dying, what was your thoughts? Like, what did you thought about when? What did you think about when you were almost dying?
Yeah. So it's a combination of looking back on your life.
I don't know how it is.
No,
so I am very curious.
Yeah, and I still don't know for sure if, like, how close to dying I was, or but it definitely
But in
felt
your
like it.
experience,
And so first you think, oh, I want my mom here, or I want my family here, and I'm
you're
gonna die alone.
Uh-huh.
And then you're like, oh no, like no, I'll be fine. And then you think, well, I've had a really good life, and you sort of look back on your life and you're like, well, if this is it, like this is it.
I'm ready.
Yeah, it's very hard to describe that. And I guess I don't know, people go through way worse things than I went through. So I sort of, it's almost a little bit embarrassing to talk about. I don't know.
I don't know, because was your experience so you were ill, so you almost died. So
Yeah. Oh, and certainly my family, like it's definitely hit my family really hard when all that happened. They were super worried about me. And I didn't even tell them I was sick until I called and said, I'm coming home today.
Oh, okay.
They're like, oh, like
What
come
happened?
home. What happened? I was like, I've just been really sick. And I'm laying in bed right now. Yeah. And so, but it still affects us, and
They regret that you went there?
probably,
Oh.
yeah, probably. That's, that's their job, is to
Yeah,
care
I
for you. And
Yeah. They feel like responsibility. It's a responsibility. And they love you, so they don't want that this happen to you.
yeah, of course not.
Parents are like this.
Yeah.
Always protecting us. And this program that you was talking about, do you need to do something in your diet too?
They don't go into that. I have my a different way of eating than most people do here in the United States.
Okay.
And that's only something I have been delving into recently.
Researching a lot.
Yeah. So one thing that people going through, autoimmune issues or stuff like this, they find that eating only meat.
Oh, I heard this.
It's called, well, the strict form is called Lion Diet, and it was popularized by Michaela Peterson.
Oh, so you know, I know her.
Yeah, and you know Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, of course.
I will talk about.
Oh my gosh,
with you
we can talk about that for forever.
Yeah, because I was.
Form is called Lion Diet, and it was popularized by Michaela Peterson.
Oh, so you know, I know her.
Yeah, and you know Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, of course.
I will talk about for you.
Oh my gosh, we can talk about that for forever.
Yeah, because I was watching some videos, and she is his daughter.
Yeah.
So
Michaela
Peterson, she has, or I don't know if she
rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah. So she just eat red meat.
Yeah.
Just
red meat, salt, and water.
Yeah.
And so does Jordan and his wife. They all do.
Yeah, all do.
And they all almost died of some illness.
Yeah.
At some point.
So
and they're
now
doing
you
great
are
on it.
introducing your diet.
I'm on Lion Diet right now. Lion Diet for 1 month it's been.
Okay.
And then the first month was I was sort of trying to let go of all those other, like fruit, for instance.
And how is
honey.
this? Because I don't know, you sometimes I think you want to eat some fruits or.
Well, yeah.
don't
So
know.
that's the funny thing is the cravings.
Yeah, the cravings.
They go away after
Really?
you keep doing. You think, okay, eating the same thing every day, that does get boring. Boring is that's an applicable word for the Lion Diet. But if your why is strong enough, like, why am I doing this?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
There's one guy in Alaska he can't get out of his house. I forget his name. Anyway, he weighs 700 pounds, and he's now going on carnivore diet, and he's been losing weight like super, like this is a really good weight loss strategy to lose weight and keep it off, like unhealthy weight. So like people who weighed 400 pounds, they lose most of their body weight and get to a healthy weight again doing this diet. And then they don't stop, because I think in the West, our relationship with food is really messed up. And that's causes a lot of our obesity problem
and illnesses too.
And I can't speak to the, just like Jordan says, he's like, I don't know why exactly that I feel better doing this. I just do, so I'm doing it. I'm not gonna like tell everyone to do this. I try to get my family on it. I could talk about it all day, carnivore stuff. But yeah, it's definitely pretty boring, and sometimes
but easy too.
It's very easy, and I'm hardly ever hungry. I only have to eat once a day. There's a lot of benefits, especially for a busy college student. You don't have to think about what you're eating. You don't have to keep track of all these ingredients. And I did used to love like cooking, like different foods. But I just noticed I felt the worst I would feel when I was really ill was right after I ate. And I wasn't eating junk food. I was eating, oatmeal and Brussels sprouts, and spinach, and chicken and rice, and like the things that we're told, like, hey, this is the best for you. Eat this. And I did. It was interesting. This is part of the the equation too. Was I was never vegetarian my whole life. I was always eating red meat. Especially my mom would always make it for me at least once a week. And I came to Andrews and I was like, oh, being vegetarian, like, I'll feel better. Great. Like, I have no choice. I have to eat in the cafeteria. I'll be vegetarian. I started having some health problems right then. And not everyone's going to experience that, but a lot of people do, is when they go heavy on the fiber, like lots of fiber, lots of greens. I asked my doctor at that time, like, why am I having digestive issues? He said, you're eating too many salads. They have that salad bar.
Too many salads.
This is good. I like Andrews has their vegan salad dressing. It's pretty good. Like, I was just shoveling it in. Well, for me, and people like my father as well, he has a hard time with leafy greens, like anything that's fiber, horrible digestive issues.
Interesting.
I started developing those right when I came to Andrews. I never had any problems right when I came to Andrews. Not saying that people who are vegan or vegetarian, if they feel really good, they feel great, fine, fair enough. But I think that set me up for, I started getting psoriasis. So like different skin condition, like out of nowhere, and like anxiety shot up out of nowhere. And this was right when I started eating vegetarian food, like plant-based basically, when I was more meat-based before. And I just didn't think anything of it, like, hey, like, this is good for me, like, this is the best, I'll keep eating this way. And my theory is that for me, that damaged my gut and set me up for basically what happened in Honduras. I don't blame anyone.
No,
it's fine. But it's just interesting to see, like, okay, I didn't have any health problems until I did this thing. Interesting.
Jack's experience.
Yeah. And that won't be everyone's experience, but certainly Michaela, Jordan Peterson, his wife, and me. I
was very curious because I never met someone that is in this diet, so you are the first one. I was walking
around campus, like, listening to Jordan Peterson videos, and I listened to Michaela's video. I'm like, she only eats red meat? Good luck. Like, you're gonna get, heart disease or whatever. And I just kind of laughed at it. And now I'm doing it. And if I hadn't watched that video, I would never have thought about it as a potential tool to help me feel better,
and this is new because I think I heard this video, I don't know, 3 months ago, or I don't know, but it's very new. And a lot of people, they don't know this diet, but I think she's doing a lot of research too. And now I think this is her diet. She started.
She made the name the Lion Diet, and I was carnivore before. Now I'm more lion, just to eliminate
all the things,
the eggs as well, because it depends on what those chickens eat. It could affect you if you're sensitive. Like, it's just certain people are. Certain people have that and they don't know it because, and my father is a very good example of that. So there's some sort of thing that's passed down to me that I'm the same way.
Okay.
His whole life, he would always have horrible, just his stomach would hurt all the time. And just eating, healthy, what we're told is healthy. And it was only till recently, or like about 5 years ago, they was like, oh yeah, I can't do gluten. Like that's a big thing. There's a lot of people who are gluten intolerant, and some people brush it off and like, oh, you're crazy, like just eat it. But it's like true.
Crohn's
disease, ulcerative colitis, celiac. You can test for all those things, you can do whatever, but if you have the symptoms, like there's something you can do about it, is the point. And
your dad is doing this diet too with you?
I'm trying to get him to do it
more
and more. He's definitely added more red meat.
So now you are just eating red meat?
Yep, just red meat and salt and water. And so basically just zero carb. And before I started it, my energy was so low that some days I would have to fight to keep my head up. Like I'd be working at the computer and just I'd have to, And as soon as I started eating carnivore or lion diet now, that's gone. I have more energy. It's great. Like all the things that people rave about carnivore diet, they're for the most part true. They're not just all lying in those comments of those YouTube videos. Like it's a lot of anecdotes, but it's like hundreds of thousands of anecdotes. And yeah, there's new studies that are coming out, but I don't spend all day reading them because I'm finding something that works for me, and So.
And how do you work with your craving? Because you don't feel any more craving.
Yeah, well, like it is hard. Like it's interesting because one of the things was honey and fruit. Like I'm addicted.
Yeah.
Or like even yogurt and milk. Like even though I knew I was lactose intolerant, I would still eat that stuff.
Yeah.
Or like bread. Like when you know it's an addiction, I'll put it this way: an alcoholic doesn't keep a little bit of alcohol in their house to completely get rid of all of it.
Yeah.
And the second they drink again, they know that's not a good idea because it brings it all back. So that's how you know it's an addiction. So I know I'm a honey and fruit addict.
Okay.
And there are some carnivores that are like, yeah, eat all the fruit and honey you want, just as long as you're eating lots of red meat too and lots of meat too. Paul Saladino is one of those. There's a group in there, and I was doing that for a little bit, but I realized I was addicted, and I couldn't just have one little spoonful of honey or a few berries. It was like no self-control, and you're like, oh my goodness, I am addicted to this thing.
But saying that you are addicted in those things, I think, in my point of view, it's very healthy.
Yeah, no, it's
because I like chocolate. I don't know.
Yeah, that's better than.
Yeah, better.
I know. I if you put that stuff in my room, like a Snickers bar or something, and stacked it on my fridge, I would have a hard time. Yeah. So, but the proponents of carnivore make the point that we didn't have this sugar, we didn't have tons of fruit, especially in North America. In South America, it's a bit different. Central America, there's a lot of fruit around. But my ancestors, especially like from Norway, there was no fruit around. My ancestors ate caribou and dairy products and cows and stuff. So it's like more appropriate diet that I feel like, if that makes sense.
And how do you do with your friends? Because did you lose some friends because they want to go outside and eat in restaurants?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go.
Or, I don't know.
I'll go. I'll just sit and talk and drink water. It is, there is sort of a morning, like, oh man, like potluck. Yeah. I just sit and enjoy and talk, and I just tell people I'm fasting.
Okay.
They're like, why aren't you eating? I'm just fasting.
I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't say I've lost any friends over it. I definitely,
But do you think it's hard now to go out, hang out?
Yeah.
Or do you feel like, oh, I think I don't want to go because I will go and stay there talking.
Yeah, it
and I
makes
will
it-
be like, oh, watching, I don't know, seeing that I like this thing, and I will be, oh, I want to take this.
and like the
And
more, the longer I'm on this diet, the less I care about other food, basically.
Oh, nice.
Because I know how I feel when I introduce just a little bit
Oh, okay.
of anything that's a carbohydrate or anything that's from a plant. I know how I feel, and then I know how I feel when I'm just on line diet, and it's so much better. So I'm like, why would I not want to feel great? I can sacrifice
All the things.
all that if I feel better. So
Do you think that doing this program with this diet, what are you feeling now? What are the main things that you see improvement in your life?
yeah, well, just everything that I mentioned before that I was suffering from is so much better. And I'm able to work full time now. I'm about to go back to university here at Andrews. Because when your nervous system is so scared and traumatized and protective, you can barely do any task for more than about 20 minutes before you're just exhausted, even if it's just playing a video game. Especially that, actually. You know, it's hard to describe. It's actually impossible to describe unless you've been through it. Yeah, that's for sure. But I guess the capacity, the core objective of Primal Trust, in the beginning at least, is to increase the amount of stress that your body can take in every form. So whether it's exercise, or like just walking, or socializing, or going in big crowds, or going to the grocery store, all that stuff becomes very, very difficult and very horrible when you're ill like that, when your nervous system is very ill. So you slowly increase that capacity. And then there's some things that do stick, like I still hate going to the grocery store. I don't know why. But it's a common thing with other people who have struggled with, one word for it is limbic system dysfunction, or nervous system issues, basically. It's like, yeah, I hate going to the store. Like, there's bright lights, there's lots of people. But I did go to a baseball game the other week, and it was at Cubs Stadium at Wrigley Field, and that was fun. But afterwards, it was a little overwhelming. There's a huge crowd in a small space. But if I had tried to do that 2 months ago, I would not have been able to handle it.
No.
Just too much input. Yeah, but it's very hard to describe like what it's like when you're that ill. And no, but I fully believe that everyone can heal from that, and everyone can heal from any chronic disease. Chronic just means it lasts a long time, but we think it just means you're stuck with it. It does not. It does not. You don't have to live with it. And it's not about fixing yourself either, because that's from a place of fear. That's from a place of, oh my God, if I don't do this, I'm going to be suffering more and suffering. No, because then you're getting in your own way again of your body's healing. Your body...
It's like more anxious to healing.
Yeah. And it's got to be healing. The healing journey has to become kind of fun. You have to make it your own. There's all those tools, which I could list them off.
Like loving the journey.
Loving the journey.
Not
exactly.
the end, like
Yeah.
the cure.
Yeah. And because people will ask you, oh, when did you recover? And you're like, well, I guess I have recovered because I can live now. That's great. But it's also about this inner journey that you're taking, that you're even looking into your ancestry and just doing really deep introspection, doing parts work as well, like internal family system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Doing a lot of that. That's part of Primal Trust as well, sort of later on. That's the later stages of it. You're not trying to figure out, oh, what went wrong? Why did this happen? You're just getting to know yourself more. You're increasing your body's ability for all kinds of stress. You're preparing for really good things to happen in your life. Because when stuff happens, like horrible, your body kind of gets stuck in the past and it thinks that you're still in that situation. So that's part of what why those symptoms didn't go away. Because as far as my body was concerned, I was still in Honduras, I was still sick, I was dying. Alarm bells. Show your body that you're in you're going into the future. And some of these meditations I do, you visualize, and you actually, manifesting it kind of gets a bad rap, but it's kind of a word for it, is you're visualizing your future, and you're visualizing good things happening, and you're actually living it in there.
Oh, okay.
And you're feeling what that would feel like. So what would it feel like? Like, what is courage? What would it feel like the main one is gratitude. Like when you're really sick, you meditate on gratitude, and you have to calm down and get your brain into the right brain waves even. And there's a specific way Joe Dispenza has you do that. It's kind of the same brain waves you have when you're a kid. That's why people, people's childhood, they're like, oh, that was, why can't it be like when I was a kid? Because you're absorbing everything. You're just kind of at peace.
Electromagnetic
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, these vibrations that we can't see.
Because we live in the world that is three-dimensional, and the other one that we cannot see.
Is waves.
The waves.
And we're waves. We're energy. That's all it is.
All the energy, and those are the energy that brings all the. If the person is in the present and not in the past, you can reach this other world that is this electromagnetic
the quantum field.
Yeah, the quantum field. Yeah.
We don't talk. This is the thing that I lose people on when I'm trying to explain it.
This is hard to explain. I don't know how, because I never explain it. So I heard a podcast about this. So
yeah,
That's like
great.
It was very interesting because I never heard something like this. It was very new for me.
Yeah.
I was trying to understand, and now I think I understand a little bit, but I need to go deep.
Yeah,
because it was very interesting. For me, I understand that this quantum field or interlace, it's in common with the God's view too.
It's compatible with Christianity.
Yeah.
I believe,
because we cannot see things that are happening in the world, the bad things, the bad angels.
Yeah.
I don't know, our faith, these things we cannot see. So God we cannot see now, but for me it's related with this quantum field. So.
And that's really cool that you even you're open-minded enough to even watch that podcast.
Yeah.
And not go,
I like to.
Oh, that's a load of crap.
No, I like to to see new things and see if it works or it's.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Don't know.
Test it for yourself, and that's the thing about that people, because Joe Dispenza, he has these seminars and people come in person and they think they have to go there to get healed. They're like, oh, they have MS, for instance, or they have Parkinson's really bad, and they'll start meditating at home, doing his meditation. They'll just do it every day, practice. At first, maybe their disease even gets worse, and they feel worse, and they're like, "This isn't working," and they're like, but they keep doing it. They keep practicing how to reach that quantum field, right?
Yeah.
And then something clicks, and they get it, and their symptoms start to go away a bit. And there's tons of people who completely heal from all sorts of stuff using Joe Dispenza's meditations.
Yeah, because they say that being in the past is the precedent. So you're in the past, and now when you can reach this knowing that you are in the present, that you have some responsibility, you can improve yourself, thrive. So I like this.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And so when you're that ill, the idea of being grateful, not just thinking about being grateful or writing down a list of things you're thankful for, that's a good start. That's all.
It's
Yeah, that's
very
all thoughts.
Start.
Those are thoughts. But thoughts are the language of the brain. This is what Joe Dispenza says. I apologize for just regurgitating what.
No.
He makes so much sense. But emotions are the language of the body.
Yeah.
So when you sit down, you're that sick, and you're doing the meditation, and you're opening up those pathways to feel gratitude again, and you start getting chills in your spine, like a good, like, you know, the kind you get when you're at a concert and you're listening to some great music and you're really into it. You're like vibing. That's it's actually what it is. Yeah. And you start feeling gratitude, and your symptoms just go away while you're doing that meditation. Your eyes are closed, whatever pose you're doing. You can do it laying down. It doesn't matter. You're just vibing. It's hard to explain without.
But I think I know what you're talking about, because this is why I think the people say vibe.
Yeah.
I feel the
vibrations.
vibe. Like the people, if you go in a room with a lot of people, they are like, oh, nervous, they are irritated. You will feel like this because their vibe, they are given to you. So you will be nervous too.
Yes. Well, and I was in, maybe I shouldn't say it. Well, I was in church the other day, and the sermon was on love. And the pastor said, let's look at some quotes of how what the world thinks love is. And one of them was, love is a vibration you can feel in the room. And lots of people just laughed. They're like, oh, that's hilarious. Like silly, worldly people. And I'm just like, no, that's true also. Like, God is love. I believe that.
Yeah.
Like, sure. But the fact that we laugh at that, or like maybe a few years ago I would have laughed at that. And been like, vibrations? What are you talking about? But once I started, like, for instance, I couldn't walk very far and I was real sick. I would meditate and listen to the Joe Dispenza guided meditation and there's certain things you focus on that have to do with space and different body parts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You get kind of somatically present first to get those brainwaves sort of, the correct brainwaves. I don't know if they're alpha or theta or...
Yeah, I think it's beta.
Yeah, and I think beta ones are the ones that you're normally in when you're just... Anyway, I could brush up on that. I don't know for sure. But once you get those waves going, he has you live that future now, where in the meditation I would be running again with my friends, because I was in run club at Andrews. I loved it.
Oh, running.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was just something I loved to do. And I was just in there in the meditation, feeling so much gratitude, actually running. My body thought I was running and I was having a great time, but I was sitting still meditating, because at that time I was so disabled that I couldn't run. And I just kept doing stuff like that and doing that and doing that. And that's when something clicked, and I was like, this is the good stuff. Like, this is what I need to be doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
And all the other tools, I still use them, and they're great. And I think if one's very sick, very ill, they should learn them all. They should join Primal Trust, take that leap. But yeah, the Joe Dispenza meditation, that's a whole nother, I could go on. It's very hard to describe though. It's, yeah, just gotta try it.
So search Joe Dispenza.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have some obstacle or habit or trauma that you want to get rid of in your life?
Yeah, I guess a smaller obstacle now is trying to wake up at a consistent time. I'm still, it's kind of hard to wake up still. And that, you could argue there's a bit of depression still there for sure. And I still have a lot of work to do. And that's why I have, it's good to have a few rules, and then kind of, because when you're super rigid about, a lot of people go into these programs and they're very rigid about it, and then they do the practices like, oh, I got to do at this time, right when I wake up every day, and then they burn out really quickly. So I like video editing, and one of Joe Dispenza's ideas is make a life movie. So some trip you want to take in the future, maybe you want to go to Catalina Island. Look at my circumstances. Obviously, this is not where I want to be. That's kind of not the greatest attitude. But you make a life movie about it, and you go on YouTube, you grab some footage of maybe a couple being on vacation at Catalina Island or going whale watching there, and you maybe edit the video. It doesn't have to be good, doesn't have to have good effects, just whatever, and add music to it, maybe music that's meaningful to you, and just watch that life video when you're feeling really sick. And it's not just, these are my hopes and dreams. It's like, no, I'm acting as if this thing is happening right now or has already happened. And I'm actually feeling the gratitude and the love and the joy for my wife on that vacation, even though I'm not there yet.
Okay. It's a new thing that I heard.
And it doesn't have to happen. Like the life movie, it could be a fairy tale.
Okay.
Or, it's hard to go into detail about these tools to where they don't just sound super surface level. But when you're really unhappy about your circumstances and you're really suffering,
it's hard to do.
It's hard to have hope at all because you're like, I'm going to get disappointed. Like, I want to go on vacation. I want to do this thing. I want to work full time. Oh, what an interesting, like if you had told me like my biggest dream was to return to the work world, I would have been like, no, you crazy. Like, I just want to play video games, right? Like, who wants to work? But here I was, so sick that I couldn't work. I was just like, that would be fantastic. I could work. So I made a life movie about work. I made one about going to the lake and water skiing when I was a kid. So just positive, creating these positive vibrations in your life.
So
forever on that.
The bad habit or obstacle, it's you want to get rid of it?
Yeah, well, I think the most attainable, like simplest change I want to make right now is to just wake up at the same time every day.
At the same time, okay.
Get that rhythm. Because I haven't been doing that, and I think that's good. So.
And one habit that you want to introduce in your life?
I think doing more stuff like this, honestly. Talking to people more about this stuff in general. Or
helping people with other
things. I would love to, because a lot of people, they'll recover, and they'll coach other people or start their business coaching, or there's a lot of those. And I think a lot of them are super legit, but that kind of has to happen naturally. So, so the habit of being more open to sharing my story, or more open to helping people struggling with the same things I have. Because sometimes I'm like, no, I don't want to do that interview. like, I don't want to be seen, because there's this fear of being seen that comes along with it.
Yeah.
That even if you didn't have what you would call social anxiety before.
No, but it's normal for people that they don't want to.
And especially when you've gone through something hard or traumatic, it's very hard to talk about that publicly. But there's a need to be seen, and then after you do that, more healing happens, I do believe. That's part of the healing process for anything.
Helping other people.
Helping out, like turning it around, being in the community. And I don't always feel like doing that though. So the habit of being more open to it. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
And ending the things. What is the best advice that someone gave you?
Don't take it too seriously.
Don't take it too
seriously. Don't take anything too seriously. I always take things very seriously. That's my default. And I go really hard on it, But life is just a game. Like, it's just like a flower doesn't grow to put money in its retirement fund. Right? Like, these are good things to do. But yeah, it's all just a game. There's no point, really. There's nothing that you're supposed to be doing. Just, you're supposed to enjoy life. So however you do that, and I think, especially if you're struggling with illness, there are great ways to start enjoying life again, even before you heal, for sure. And I still have huge struggles, for sure, that I'm...
So the best advice was...
Don't take it too seriously.
Okay.
Yeah, that was from basically my entire family. Always say that.
Okay.
And it's very true. Yeah.
Nice. So the last one is, if you are going to die tomorrow, what do you want to do for sure?
That's an interesting question. Probably the same thing I do every day, honestly.
Yeah?
Just
Okay.
go to work.
Go to work.
Go to work.
You love work.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Yeah. Or go skydiving.
Skydiving.
I haven't really thought about that. Sure.
Oh, nice. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what happened with my camera. So I am doing in my cell phone now. So I am very thankful, Hayden, because you accepted this challenge. I don't know. But I am, because you expanded today by sharing. So I am very happy that you can help others with your experiences, your opinions. I like a lot. It was very different. And we are going to do the challenge now. And I see you guys in the next episode. Bye.